All right, creatives, community, and kind folks. What the hell is enshittification, and what does it have to do with Planescape and the Abyss? Well, we're going to get into it. All right. So, for those who don't know, and I did put this into the chat, it is an article that is now in a Creative Commons, written by an individual, Corey Doctorow, and if you begin to get into um, the Urban Dictionary, he has coined a phrase, or at least this phrase has been coined by other people, spread around, called enshittification. Now, short and sweet, I'm going to read what enshittification is designed, and then you're going to find out that this kind of makes sense, especially when it comes to tabletop role playing and extra dimensional space. So there is a connection here, and then we're going to. I think there's something to be pulled on, the threads to be pulled on here to go. That's why evil spreads so easily. All right, so um, this article has been written by, again, Corey Doctorow, and put into Creative Commons, as it has been interviewed, because he is a journalist that likes to talk about platforms, social media platforms, um, the internet, and he does uh, investigations into these things. So here's the first quote. It talks about platform death. Uh, Here is how platforms die. First, they are good to their users. Then they abuse their users to make things better for their business customers. Finally, they abuse those business customers to claw back all the value for themselves. Then they die. So he says, I call this enshittification, and it is a seemingly inevitable consequence arising from the combination of the ease of changing how a platform allocates value, combined with the nature of a two-sided market where a platform sits between buyers and sellers, holding each hostage to the other, raking off an ever larger share of the value that passes between them. And while that absolutely applies to um, n- so many digital markets, it actually it actually kind of applies to the um, overriding interdimensionality of beings from the lower planes, and how they are able to have this churn of existential desire mixed with existential dread. So let's get to our co-host. By the way, the show is live, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and of course our co-hosts who will show up here on YouTube and and Twitter, I mean Twitch, are able to join in. So I'm going to see what they have to say. Infinite layers. Hey, cheers! What's going on? So the what happens with enshittification, and I think this is what's kind of happening with the layers of the abyss, and even in many of the lower planes, is that in the beginning there is something that is great value to a population, a number of individuals, and we see this in fantasy and such, where we have ourselves a cult or a wizard, or individuals looking for vast treasure or gifts from the gods or whatever, vampire lords and all this kind of stuff. That there's one or larger group of people who receive something, and man, it feels good. It feels like I'm getting more out of this relationship than the entity, the origin, the location of the thing that's giving it back to me. Like, I'm benefiting from this. Now the End King makes a good point. What was the great value to start? I think if we wipe away what we see today, I think it's infinite freedom. So chaotic evil The chaotic part of it is ultimate freedom to do and act in whatever way you want for any reason whatsoever. No rules, no limitations, and the planes of the abyss are like the physical embodiment of no rules, right? And as kind of mentioned earlier, it's like, yeah, there's all kinds of layers, right? There's an infinite layers of insects and slime and hellspawn and all the, you know what I mean? Sure, but I bet at some point there was a propensity to have an infinite layer of your heart's desire, whatever that might be, and whatever minutia there is. Hey, layer 467, it's the layer of I don't know, ice cream flavored steaks or something. So, so I bet it was just filled with that kind of bullshit, right? And someone's like, there's even a greater layer that's got what I want and what I can do. There's a layer where I'm a vast lord, in my from my humble beginnings, and now I died and I got here and I get everything I want. Everything. This is great. And I bet it was full of those things. Now, the evil part is basically taking advantage of everybody else in front of you. And so what? They're lesser for it because I lied and cheated and stole something, and I used a brick and knocked somebody over the head and took their stuff. And it'll all go out in the wash. I came down here in the abyss, and the abyss is showing me I kind of went down the right path. Like, I don't really feel any guilt about it. And there's no reason to feel guilt. It feels pretty good down here. And then more people start showing up, and more people start showing up, and more people start showing up. And it's like, well, where's my part of it? Don't I get a piece of this? And it felt pretty good. And like in shittification, first, it's good for the users. There's a crowds of people down here. This feels kind of great. And then there's going to be individuals that been like, wait a minute, I've been here longer than you. Don't I get something for that? And the planes of existence or greater beings and all this kind of stuff were like, yeah, you get a little prize. You're now a greater demon. You're a demon lord. You've been doing some great things. And like, hey, if there's just a lot of people here. Some of these people don't belong here, or if they're going to be here, they kind of need to be like whipped into shape because this is my stuff. And the platform goes, the enshittification of it, right? The platform goes, I don't care, do whatever you want here. All I ask, right? All I ask is, it's too late for you to go back. Everyone that you know for any other reason is here. All the outside stuff, sure, you can go to another plane of existence, but you're gonna have to start all over again. And all the friends you made and all the great stuff you had down here, you're gonna lose all that. You don't want to do that, do you? You want to stay here in this platform. I mean, this pit of the abyss. Sorry, bringing up the internet, right? So now you've got your users trapped, but now you need to claw. Now you got to go to the other side. Your investors, your business partners, your evil entities, and the evil entities are like, well, what do we get? We got a bunch of souls down here, and they're all having a good time. What do we get? And they go, oh, don't worry about it. They're not going to leave because they're down here with everybody else that they know and all the things that they're used to. And so all of a sudden now, the demon lords start coming out of the woodworks, and they start asking more and more, demanding more and more, and shit rolls downhill, right? It's well, don't get on me, demon lord. I'll work for you just as long as I get what I want. Oh, you want me to hurt these other people? No problem. Whatever. They kind of deserve it. It starts getting worse and worse. So anyway, Shai says YouTube and Facebook are the ex-girlfriend who beat you and then tried to accuse you of domestic violence. Ow! Ow! Enshittification, right? Yeah. Yeah, the End King says, so the abyss was that idea you had from an earlier stream where the world is uniformed unless by your imagination. Maybe a little bit like that. I'm starting to fall into the idea that the abyss is kind of like the toilet of the multiverse, because every other plane of existence, and we're talking about Planescape here, fits into it fits into an organizational matrix, and then you have the abyss. And I don't know. I'm kind of thinking the abyss is a little bit of a little bit of a flushed, clogged toilet of a inter infinite dimensionality. I mean, are there only 666 layers? Yeah, does it really matter? Uh, the great value of the abyss is that it's more interesting than Carlos Santana, less shittified than any mainstream social media platform. Yeah, it's less. I'd rather go to the abyss than stick on these social media platforms, right? Dead Man says the abyss great value at the start was a dumping ground for evil. Yep. Where do we put him? Stick him down there. Right? Yeah. No evil would make it as easily anywhere else. Yeah. Evil simply had better PR to attract more people. Yep. And no rules to attract you. Don't worry. Just sign right here. Don't worry about it. Right. I mean, at least the nine hells, they've got pretty evil rules, but I mean, at least they've got rules. In the abyss, it's like, nah, do whatever you want. Don't worry about it. Don't you? Here, the doors are wide open. You just find a layer for yourself, make yourself at home. Yeah. So then the abyss is fake illusion that isn't true. How insidious. Yeah, yeah. So Mark says, wait, are we having a conversation about the creative fields or on the indie and small scale end? Well, we're literally talking. I'm being sarcastic, of course, uh, but with comedy and sarcasm, it always tends to have a little bit of a reality attached to it, right? So we're we're talking about Planescape and the Abyss, and the I'm going to say 666 layers of the Abyss in fantasy gaming. And an article came up. I listen to podcasts pretty much all day at work because I'm a letter carrier. So I drive around and I've got my phone playing and I've got things happening. And um, uh, Cory Doctorow coined the phrase enshittification, and enshittification is his thesis on how mostly social media platforms, but other um, platforms die, and it is due to enshittification. So, I mean, he's got his own wiki page and talks about the different platforms. And essentially, what happens, this is specifically about social media and internet platforms. So, when these internet platforms start, they are brilliantly giving us more value, or we feel we're getting more value than the platform should offer. And part of I'm gonna say part of this kind of reminds me of the tabletop role playing industry, but we'll get into that in just a minute. So first, a media platform starts, and it feels like we're getting more value from it than than the platform deserves to give us. So, for example, they have listed here Amazon, Bandcamp, Facebook, Google Search, Reddit, Twitter, and it goes on and on and on. Okay, and then after we collectively go towards these platforms, everyone looks around and like, this is a great place to be. This platform lets me do all these kind of things, and it's giving me, it is fulfilling something I didn't even think I needed. And wow, this is a great place. Then once everyone is there, it becomes difficult to leave that platform. So all of our friends and family are there. Everything I'm interested is here. Maybe I'm spending money here, but that's not necessarily needed. So it becomes the act of leaving, while psychologically we know there are other platforms out there that do similar things, but this is the place where everyone is at. So other people start building things where everyone is at. It's like being even though today it's big cities are starting to empty out, it's the reason why New York City is New York City rather than Columbus, Ohio, right? It's where everyone's at. So more people go there to be where everyone's at, so that it behooves you to go where everyone's at. Nashville for country music. Well, if you want to be a country music artist, you go there because you want to be discovered. And you could say, well, you could be discovered online and blah, blah, blah. No, no, no. But that's where everybody else is being discovered. And so it becomes a feedback loop. But that platform, once it collects a bunch of these people, all of a sudden you start having to, it's being controlled by um, business partners, investors. Um, it becomes less for the user, and now it starts clawing. It starts taking that value and giving it to investors and venture capitalists and those individuals. We're still happy, but the business partners go, "Wow, this is a great place to be. I'm raking in money. I don't see an end to it. We keep getting more users. This is a great place to be. You're just nothing but information, and information is money. Thanks for letting me know about all the information about these people so I can sell them things or monetize it." And then once those two camps are pulled in, then the platform goes, great. Now I'm just going to scrape back little by little. Well, not sometimes not even so little. I'm going to scrape back all the value back to myself, and none of you can leave because I've trapped you in, because it costs more to be on the outside than to be on the inside. Um, if we want to go further into other things other than websites, you could make big box stores. Here in the States, Walmart is an example of that. Walmart got so big that that it began trying to, it's difficult to not put your product in Walmart, and Walmart sets the price, right? You're going to have to bring the price of your product down to our level, and you're going to have to modify your items to our level to sell it in our place because we want a cut of the item that you have. Amazon, same way. Amazon finds out what items are selling, and then they undercut the seller by them selling that specific item at a lower price than everybody else. And we as users on Amazon have basically given Amazon free reign over what sells and what doesn't. Amazon doesn't care what the item is. They just want to know, how is it selling high? Great. We'll cut it by $5 and sell, baseball caps or tube socks or something. Yeah, hell and damnation for an eternity in the abyss will not denote you nearly as much as YouTube does. Yeah, they'll knock you. There's so many channels that get banned and tagged and the whole system and stuff. Zamar's like, so you were telling me? Yeah. Now, am I stretching this a little bit too far? I don't think so. I think the idea of like the big bad, and of course we're role players, right? We're creators, and we like having fun, and we like to give our players, something to beat ass, right? And we have our big bad evil guy, and it's like evil dragon, evil demon lords, and vampires, and liches, and wizards, and and it's like, well, if you squint, you go, that doesn't really make sense until you look at it through the eyes of Enshittification. You know, a dragon living in the mountain probably let those people have a pretty pristine lifestyle, to the point where more people started moving into the area, and even more people start living here. And people are like, this is a great place to live. The dragon protects us all the time. He doesn't bother us. He or she, it doesn't bother us. And even when it wants a little something, we don't mind, and then it just gets worse and worse. Mm-mm. Yeah, and I picked my background because I think it looks a little gassy for the shitification of it. Dojo Breaker says, I use the shit rolls downhill to explain evil. Yep, cruelty is the point. Other people suffer for your benefit is the intended outcome. And one of the problems about that is, I hate to. This is going to sound horrible, because I'm going to use an example of where I live. So I live in the Ohio Valley. I live in Central Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, and Ohio is itself a valley. So we have communities, not in the big cities, not necessarily near the big cities, but because a lot of it is flat. But we have communities that live in low-lying areas, and they live near flood zones. And mind you, there's people who live in all kinds of environmentally dangerous places. And I'm associating this with a non-violence, non-evil, but why people live there. So if you live and grow up there, you own property there, you have jobs there, family and such, you have a legacy near these places. So when they get flooded from the outside, we go, well, why don't you just move? You don't need to live near a riverside because it's going to flood. You live in a place that floods, you know, you get a big old flood every 2 years. Hey, you live near a place where there's tornadoes or forest fires or all mudslides. Why do you live there? And it the base part of the enshittification is it on its surface, it becomes a great place to be. And when you grow up in a place, it's a great place to be. I grew up here. All of my legacy is here, music and arts and my neighbors and my family. And if I leave, I've got to leave everything behind. If I leave Facebook, where all my people are at, I've got to leave to another place. I'm moving over to Twitter or Reddit or what. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to move over to this other platform. Man, I hated to have to move, but now I'm here. All of a sudden, what happens? It gets enshittified. Should I leave? Fuck, oh man. Now I got to start all over on Mastodon and these other places. And that's not where all the people are at. All the people are in this other place. And so, yes. And when you add to that, a sentient entity that's rubbing their hands and doing twirling a mustache and going, you ain't leaving. I know you want to leave. You ain't leaving this valley. Hey, the dragon's like, yeah, I see you down there like ants, and I hear you talking, and you're all like, we could just all get up and leave. And they're all penguins, right? All the penguins stand on the edge of the water, and they're all looking in. Nobody wants to jump in first. All the people are standing on the edge of the city state, like, well, we could all just leave. It's like, yeah, you're gonna have to hand build a house and find a place to stay, and then make new friends. And can you build in this field anyway? I mean, there might be other kings and queens and nobles out there. Are they gonna let you come in there and blah blah blah? Yeah, it's pretty hard to do that. Yeah. The Yanking says it's hard to leave, but not impossible. Think about that layer of the abyss that changed his name to to just a letter. Yeah. I mean, you're right. It's not impossible to leave. Maybe we think of the abyss as like literal demons with pitchforks pushing people down. Maybe it's more like crabs in a barrel. Like you could leave if you want to, but a lot of people don't. Zamar says, did you know in the AD&D second edition explanation of alignment, they killed off the chaotic neutral character right away, as well as the neutral evil? They are both worse than chaotic evil. They are, if you think about it, because at least chaotic evil, you can predict what they're going to do, in the sense that they're always going to do things in their own favor and hurt someone else. Whereas neutral evil is very much like world dominating. Like neutral evil's like, oh no, I'm specifically going to take advantage of everybody. Like it ain't even for fun. It's like I'm planning on it. I'm looking at you, CEOs and politicians, right? Shai says the Walmart layer of the abyss will steal the soul of small town America while giving most things you're looking for at the same time. Yeah, the Amazon layer will give you everything but take you nowhere. Could you now listen? We tend to think of like the lower planes in the abyss with like fire and brimstone and darkness and all the nasty stuff, right? Why wouldn't there be a plane in the lower planes that feels kind of good, at least on the surface, right? Illusions, things drawing you in to make you feel real comfortable. Just sit down, take a load off your feet. We'll bring things to you, and then eventually, yeah. Dante said, "Yeah, I couldn't ignore that clickbait title. You got me." Yeah. Damn, dead man. Seriously, Mastodon is already enshittified. Damn, that's quick. Jesus, I haven't been on a platform But that just happens to be one that I've heard of where people are like, I'm leaving X and Twitter, and I'm leaving Facebook, and I'm leaving these places to go to these other places. And here's a bunch of other problems, right? The layers of the abyss are like unmonitored chaos. And we as human beings, remember the beginning of enshittification, we go, hey, there's no rules. There's no overlord telling me what I can and can't say or do. I'm going to move here because I'm all about freedom. And other people move in and go, I'm all about freedom too. And even more people, yeah, I'm with you. I'm all about freedom. And then what happens? You end up realizing that, unfortunately, human beings, we tend to have, I've said this before. We think of ourselves as the hero of our own story. We never finish the statement with we're the villain of somebody else's story. And usually, what happens is when you get a large population of people, and that population starts to grow and grow, you realize people have pretty horrible habits. Um, they spit on the ground. They have terrible gas, and they like to, they like to fart in elevators and stuff. And I guess I'm talking more social, right? They like to take off their socks and clip their toenails on airline flights. It's like some people talk too loud, or they snore, or they grind their teeth, and some of these things you can't help, But and then there's other people that play their music too loud and um, like to call you things outside your name, and it's like that's not my name. Please stop calling me that. Yay, Wimbo, Wimberinsky, Wimberino, and like that's not. Stop doing it. It's not my name. And eventually, the population grows and people get worse and worse, and there's no monitoring of people's behavior. And then somebody somewhere has to just go too far. And the population is so high that other people that want to go too far join the person that goes too far and then ruins it for everybody else. And I've always said, every time I see dumbass rules for a thing, I just go, yep, the few ruined it for the many. They just had to do it. Shai says the YouTube layer of the abyss algorithmically buries you if you try to get out in 2 seconds, while the Facebook layer buries your escape route from the YouTube layer. Yes. Here. Let me add just one more thing, and this is I suppose you could say this is part of the 9 hells, but the abyss is so chaotic. I'm sure it exists here. One of the hallmarks of internet platforms and enshittification of them is that even if we don't like how they operate, at least in the 9 hells, they have rules. The rules are horrible. Look at your Saw movies as an example of the 9 hells, right? There's rules. You can get out of this. It's going to hurt, but you can get out of it. There's a rule. The problem with these enshittified platforms is that, as coined by Cory Doctorow, they twiddle the knobs. So an example for YouTube is that there for a long time, YouTube maximized very small videos, like from 3 to 10 minutes long, for a long time. Then all of a sudden, long form content started getting on YouTube, and even now that started pushing the algorithms. But now today, even the best YouTube channels that have millions of subscribers, even they sometimes get confused. They're like, well, what is the algorithm? Well, the problem is the platform can alter the algorithm. So even if you think you know what the algorithm is, it'll change on you, and they'll change it on their business partners. They'll change it on the users. They'll change it on how things are done. It's crazy how I gotta turn my light up because one of them just went out. So it's a bit crazy how these things happen. And unfortunately, that's part of the enshittification. Like once you think you know the rule, all of a sudden they start changing it on you, and you're like, fuck, it took me this long to learn it this way. Now I've got to change it. Yeah. So Mars says, honestly, the abyss is filled with millions of lawful neutral folks, all slaving away for the benefit of a few lawful evil geniuses that manage to break the mold to exploit their fellow lawfuls. Maybe, right? Yes. Shoved down here. That's funny. Drew says, I'm glad that Walmart failed to get to the German market. Yeah, I mean, listen, Walmart's huge. And it is an enshittified place because it is so huge. We have so the entire we sometimes we call it like flyover zone or whatever, but the huge swaths of the middle of America rely on Walmart because it came into a community and eliminated it, basically destroyed small mom and pop shops. So now these people have to shop at Walmart, and there isn't any way out of it, right? There's no you can't go someplace else, or it's very difficult to go someplace else because that place doesn't have everything you need, but you have to go there. And Walmart knows, they know, if we earn just a little bit more money by cutting quality just a little bit, you can't complain. Where else are you going to go? Shai says the BitChute layer is the path to lightness, but drains your live stream energy. Full of conspiratorial demons. The MeWe layer is friendly, but fraught with succubus temptation. Yeah, yeah. Where's 4chan? Where's all Drew says, great. Now I have an earworm of the of Ting Ting song. That's not my name. That's not my name. I love it. I love it. Okay, Samar says, I am too, but the German market moving to the US will spell its doom anyway. The culture is very different and promotes access more than anything else, which is great for making money. Yeah, and unfortunately, because you guys have a different perspective, because I'm in the States, many of us are in the States, but if you're outside of it, you get to see it from an outsider's perspective. The German layer of the abyss is dotted with discounts that are fraught with the dearth of decent vegetables. Oh, that's cool. All right. How can we play with this enshittification? And by the way, I plan on doing. I mean, this. I inserted this because it came into mind, and I thought we could have some fun with it. But I do plan on. Um, I found a place that went through the layers of the abyss, like 1 to 100, 100 to 200, 200 to 300, and kind of spotlighted them. So we're going to do that. We don't get it twisted. It was requested, and there's some interesting things. I mean, down in the abyss, there's like Demogorgon has a plane of existence that he actually it uses to travel through the abyss, a whole nother plane of existence, and stuff. It's really weird. It's very strange. But so we have that. But I also think that like the idea I think there's fun to be had that the abyss just isn't chaotic evil and we're done with it. We can tell stories with it. For example, the abyss isn't just chaotic evil. You guys pointed out, I mean, there are good and lawful people down, way tucked down deep in the abyss. And why are they there? How'd they get there? We're not going to cover all infinite layers, which is another issue. Uh, the 666 layers of the abyss, or is it infinite? Personally, my head canon, it doesn't matter because you'll never get to the bottom. But the further you go away from the proverbial top, the worse it gets. And as the member of the Shy Squad, mentions a number of times, there's some layers that, like, if you get there, nothing exists there because you're just going to be killed. I mean, that's just point blank. You go there without finding out what's there, and you're just going to get eaten alive, or your flesh is going to get flayed, or your body will explode, or you'll be driven insane, or something. Yeah. Drew's like, yeah, that's a deep rabbit hole. Yeah, a huge hole. Chai says the lawful goods in the abyss are authoritarian overlords, just like on the prime material plane. Yep. Yeah. It's the equivalent of the downfall of the Jedi that are like, we need to kill the Sith and we need to hunt them down wherever they are, by any means necessary. And the other Jedi are like, no, calm down. They're like, no, I'm going to take a few of my own and my Padawans and blah, blah, blah. And we're going to go hunt them down. And, in their head, they're going, oh, we're doing a good thing. And it just slowly just starts to break apart. It can be a little bit difficult to think, how does a person act if they're chaotic evil? And I think we do have some examples. We have a chaotic person tends to not want to follow rules or buck tradition, or is a rule breaker, is a anarchist, is someone that doesn't have week to week, day to day, minute to minute, um, just changes their mind often, maybe, or something like that. Maybe they are just they are rebels without a cause. I work with people that are, young dudes that are rebels without a cause. They're just like, I don't like this rule. And it's like, yeah, but what would you replace it with? I don't know. I just don't like it. As Zamara says, yeah, it created more food deserts than it solved. It sure did, yes. Walmart and even Winn-Dix, like Winn-Dixie, caused more harm by offering a solution for a few areas as a way of exploiting those areas which already had the solution. Yes. Now, here's the the spiraling whirlpool of flowing down the toilet, right? It does make sense for someone to come up with a great idea that says, hey, listen, everything you ever want to buy, right? Here's the enshittification part of it. I'm going to create a store where all of your needs are in one place. I think we could make a big giant store that has everything you need. And it started out as, oh, this is kind of, wow, cauliflower and tube socks and my banking and, and I get my oil changed as well. This is kind of dog food and I don't know, sneakers. And this is kind of great, right? And they made a mega store, an even bigger place where I could buy furniture too. This is kind of cool. Well, if that was it, that would be cool. That if the business stopped right there, you're done. Okay, great. Thank you for giving me what I feel is more value than you're receiving. You're getting is my money, but I'm getting so much more out of it. And then you have your business partners. And the business partners are like, yeah, we've got all the people and take their money. Hey, you should start jacking up prices and shoving the quality down. And the business partners are like, this is great. And the venture capitalists are like, this is great. And then Walmart looks at both. Here's the end result of the enshittification. They've got the users. Now we got them locked in. We closed down a bunch of these mom and pop stores and places and things like that. They're done. And then the business partners come in. And we got all them locked in. They can't sell their merchandise anywhere else. And then you start turning the screws, and you're like, hey, business partners, I'm going to need you to give me more money, and you're going to get less in return. Why? Because there's no other place for you to go. Where else are you going to sell your products, right? And so, and yeah, so, and I feel like some of the layers of the abyss started out that way. We're going to have freedom. We're going to pick a layer. I don't know how this works, right? But hey, hey, everybody, come to this layer of the abyss. It's not like any of the other layers. You can come here. All your freedom is here. We're going to be able to do whatever we want. We're going to run around naked. We're going to just be bucket naked all day long, just running around doing our own thing. And like, okay, that's cool. And then more and more people come, more and more people come. And then there's like, well, there's no rules. Like, well, there's not supposed to be rules, but we need rules because we got a bunch of people in the corners doing things. Hey, what? Stop peeing. Stop shitting. Well, I can do whatever I want. I'm going to throw my own shit at other people. And you're like, no, you're intruding on other people's freedom. Yeah, but this makes me happy, right? So then somebody else picks up a rock or a brick or a baseball bat or something, a large hard implement, and knocks them over the head. And like, hey, listen, the rest of you guys, if you start acting like that, this is what's going to happen. And everyone's down here and they go, well, all my friends, we're having fun. All right, no problem. And then all of a sudden, the rules start getting worse. And then, so those are the users. Now you got the investors. The investors are like other demon lords and other people with power and stuff. And like, well, hey, what I like to do, I like to tell other people what to do. Hey, well, we could use you here to keep these other people in line. Great. I'm really good at telling people what to do. Oh, can I borrow that bat for a minute? I like to use crowbars. Sure. Go ahead, you do that. And then now everybody's down here at this layer, and they're all having their little get-togethers and stuff. And they're like, man, sure would be nice to leave though. And everyone looks at that person. Why are you going to leave? We're not good enough for you. That's another social thing too, right? Um, that the crab in the barrel effect. Other people pull you back. Oh, you just gonna leave us? Who do you think you are? You think you're better than us? You know? "Oh, I guess I'm not. I guess I'll stay here." Good. Get beaten about the head and shoulders. That's like that reminds me of the rap songs that are just like the hood in the ghetto is great. Like, no, it isn't. I know you're trying to pretend to be that way. Oh, I'm gonna stay in the ghetto because that's where the ghetto is. No, no. I know it's good for your music career, but there's a reason why people want to leave. Yeah. Mm, yeah. Look, our uh uh LOTA. Oh, this is kind of. I'm trying to figure out what that means. Oh, my brain just farted. Well, we are talking about enshittification. Yeah, we need to move elsewhere so we can live life as we want. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, layers of the abyss. Damn. Yes, layers of the abyss. Woo, why did my brain? Wow. But yes, you're right. Like, maybe just they keep getting. Yeah, each layer is just like, man, that layer's crappy. Let's move to another layer where it's not as yeah. Look out, layers just kind of pew. Ooh. We need to organize things so it's much less crappy. Sometime later, this place is too restrictive. We need to move elsewhere so we can live the life we want. Yep. 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 And it's that cycle. I can see that cycle moving, going further and further. And I could see that cycle even drawing in the lawful and good members of the planes of existence, going like, uh, I'm I'm just making an example. The Celestines with their holy knights are going, yeah, we can make headway into the lower planes. Well, how are we going to do that? Listen, I found out from somebody else that there's the planes of the abyss or infinite. We can find a beachhead here, and we can assault the evil planes if we just come down here. And they're like, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, let's do that. Hey, this is I know it's going to be hard, but we're going to go down here and we're going to show them what it means, and we're gonna convert them. And they come down here, and the goodly people. Woo, I don't know how they do it. They burst through the different interdimensionalities. They swim through the river Styx. I don't know what happens. Right? They get down there. They're like, great, we're gonna turn this place good. And then somebody's like, yeah, but we're away from home. Do we really need to follow their rules? Well, you better follow the rules or else. What do you mean or else? Why are you threatening me? I'm just saying. I mean, we're down here. We can fight this war any way we want to. We don't have to abide by the rules from the upper planes. And so and then all of a sudden the infighting starts. And hey, maybe we should bring more people here. Maybe we make allies of the evil people and stuff. And the evil people start moving in. They're like, man, it feels really good here. Whoo, I like this place much better. You guys make and then it just the churn starts, right? The leadership starts. The breaking apart of the commonality starts. And yeah. Shai says the Acheron layer is paradise. The Talking Heads best song on infinite loop. Life during wartime. Acheron. We talked a little bit about Acheron in terms of the gate towns and such. I also think that um, if we want using the abyss as our storyline, of course, you can make up anything you want. There's an infinite layer, so there's a layer related to some kind of effect or something like that. But also, as the abyss being the trash dump, I could see like there literally may be, the evil kind or whatever, that they don't have the opportunity to not be evil because they keep trying to look for a place where they don't have to be that way, and it keeps getting enshittified. And it's like I could see people going like, oh damn, another millennia, this same bullshit. Like, are we serious? Think about it like this. Talking about enshittification, right? Here's a list of some. Amazon, Bandcamp. Um, this term was used retroactively to describe the 2022 sale of Bandcamp to Epic Games. Facebook, Google search, Reddit, Twitter /X. Exactly. it's it keeps getting repeated over and over again. The same, like the abyss. You would think we would learn from our mistakes, and we don't learn from our mistakes, right? That's not what we do. We tend to we tend to ignore history and then repeat that history again. And um, the people who understand history either don't participate and they go, F it, I'm not even, I've already been through this, I'm gone. Or they involve themselves and try to scream at everybody else, please don't do this, please don't repeat this again. And then of course you have the people who are abusers and they go, this always works. Like, like, yeah, I mean, there are some con people who we know have conned people out of like their money and their values and taken over things, and yet we still let them continue to do it. So yeah, I mean, there are individuals out there who literally have made a career out of enshittifying things, and there are people who steal the value of the enshittification, knowing what's going to happen at the end of it, like pyramid schemes, right? Some people know there are real pyramid schemes. Yeah, yep. Elizabeth Holmes, anyone? Yeah, and keep doing it. There's a whole series of enshittifiers that have scammed people to the point. What is it? Elizabeth Holmes, Skrelly. Who was the Fire Fest person. We have, I mean, you could follow them and keep moving on and on and on. And there are people who latch on to um, the enshittification of it to try to scrape as much benefit from it and then get out, knowing what's going to happen at the end result. I'm looking at you, housing market here in the States, right? We had a bank failure housing market happen in 2008 because of the stacked bubble of the value of homes and betting against people who we knew couldn't pay for their mortgages. And we also um stacked onto that, we didn't have any oversight because we don't want to monitor our markets. And boom, big crash. And guess what happened? We got another bubble and values start popping up, and homes are selling for well way over their values. Are people stopping? No, because yeah. Shai says career enshittifiers, the unholy alliance between merchant overlords and administrative overlords. Yeah, yeah. 2008 happened across the entire prime material. Yeah, and so you have, there's that issue too. There are people who are like, oh no, I know this is a bad idea. Um, Cryptocurrencies are a perfect example of that. Listen, I'm gonna get in on it. Everyone's like, well, it's a terrible idea because it's basically a pyramid scheme. And there are people who are like, oh, I know. I'm gonna get in, get as many people to join in, get my cash, and I'm the fuck out, right? And so the abyss, the chaos, the evil of it, I feel like there's also we could also embrace the idea that with alignment being so problematic, but it's fun to play with it in a prime material plane. There, alignments can change. So I think beings from all the other dimensionalities, the other planes of existence, they might come here to try to start some of these processes, even though they know they're going to fail. Yeah, they've been around a long time, but they're like, yeah, we can. Man, the abyss can get so many followers, and I'm up in the lawful planes of complete organization, but I could really, man, I could recruit so many to my side. The abyss is probably the best place to do. Okay, I'm going to go down in the abyss. I know I'm lawful good, but whatever. I'm just going to have to do this. Oops. It would be kind of, it's pretty harsh, but like, I mean, there's probably a ton of fiendish beings that are like, all right, let's enshittify the mortals again because they're here. They go trying to summon us. All right, I guess I'll play along. you know, Zabar says I have actually been watching the enshittification of the left side of YouTube. Looks awfully like the right side at this point. Yes, very much so. And they are still dropping. They haven't gotten to red pill levels though. It's getting there though. It is. Because let's be honest, it feels there's a huge dopamine hit when I'm not saying extremities like our limbs, but our extreme interests and beliefs uh, go more extreme, right? And that it's the mob mentality during a sporting event when a team either wins or loses their championship, right? Somebody always pushes it to the next level. Someone's going to flip over a car or climb up on a light post or something or drink themselves to death, right? Like there's always more and more and more, and somebody's got to push it even further and more. And it that extremism is a dopamine hit even for the viewers who are like, I can't believe that person flipped over a police car. And then when they get their ass beat, it's like, well, you kind of did it. Yeah, the Eddie King says, so then the abyss is that Key and Peele skit of two scam artists meeting in the old parking lot. Yep. Yep. Yeah, there are no boundaries there. And to be honest with you, yeah, I feel like the abyss, okay, so at your base level, your extremely base level, zero level, half CR creatures, quarter CR creatures that are chaotic evil, they're just ruled by their base emotions. I want to eat. I want to sleep. I want to hurt something. I want to steal. Hey, that half-eaten pastry looks good. I'm just going to take it from you. And it's very emotionally, dare I say, addiction driven kind of mentality. Goblins and minor fey creatures are just literally pushed by their instincts and very animalistic. I see thing, I take it. That thing makes me feel good. I sit and listen to it or see it. Oh, it has stopped. I'm going to hurt you for not doing that thing anymore. But when you get more powerful beings, like what does chaotic evil look for a creature that's been around a millennium? And maybe a lot of that is just like it's just what would be a great idea? I'm going to convince people that I can give them their heart's desire if they just come here. And halfway through they Enshittify it, right? I mean, the nine hells is like, no, 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 no. This is the long game here. What's the story? Asmodeus or Asmodeus, however you want to pronounce it, is like, yeah, I'm going to go all the way up to the lawful good plane and see if I can get all the way up there, and still has come back down because he's playing the long game. But the abyss, there's no leaders down in the abyss because they are all scam artists. They are all um, Enshittifiers. They are all. I've got this great idea that you should be part of to try to convince people to come down here. They get dumped down here because they were chaotic evil in their past life. They become petitioners down here, and it's just one scam after another, one thing after another, until someone scrapes all that value you're getting and scrapes it back from you, and that would be kind of awesome. He says, "Wait, are we making the warp from Warhammer 40K?" Drew says, "Interesting. If you have only to side, then it seems to go to extremes. But if you have multiple valid options, then things tend to go to the center to capture more people." Yes, that is why the U.S. political system is shit. But many European democracies with parties having to form coalitions is much superior. And what's the quote? The quote is. Democracy is the worst form of government ever, except for all the other ones, right? On paper, nearly every political system on paper sounds golden. If you follow the tenets, I'm not talking about the people, I'm talking written down on paper. Someone comes up with a political system and you read it, and you go, actually, that sounds like a good idea. And then what happens in practice? People enshittify that system, right? Like we have a let me flow less political. Let's let's do our criminal system. We have a criminal justice system here in the States, and it's been adopted and being adopted around the world in all its different levels as being the most fair criminal justice system that we have designed. And it itself is enshittified because it is easily manipulated by money. As a matter of fact, if you can pay for the best defense, you get the best defense. It's enshittified by money. It's enshittified by who is appointed to particular levels of criminal law enforcement and such, right? One community is completely different than another community, and it's also enshittified by juries, and it's you know what I mean. So, and I would not call the U.S. criminal justice system that, right? And so now, is it true that there are periods of time where communities spike and demand a change in the justice system? Yes, that does happen. I mean, there is a freedom in the fact that we as human beings can combine together and go, no, that rule that we've been abiding by all this time, we need to change it. But that freedom of that also means you have enshittifiers, and some people are like, I'm gonna have these rules changed. How many? I mean, think about how many businesses have the money to hire lobbyists to get what they want, to have rules changed in their favor, and then we all look around like, what the hell? Did we just did we just agree to that? I don't remember us agreeing to that. And the politicians are like, don't worry about it. It'll only be here for a short time, right? And it builds upon itself. It The value of a political system is that it begins with, wow, the values for the people. I feel like I'm benefiting more from this than you are. Wow, this is kind of great, right? And then the ones in power go, man, I think I want more of this. Scrape back some of this value for myself, and they go great. And then somewhere in the middle, there's like, no, you on this end and you on that end, you think you have it good, but we haven't turned the screws yet. We haven't turned the dials yet to make it terrible for both parties. And um, the one in the middle is the one that controls the outside entities. So, having two-party systems is literally the enshittification of a multi-party system. Because what do people here in the States, what do people say? You shouldn't vote for a third party member because you are diluting the vote of this other group, right? Whether you're blue or red here in the States, if you're blue or red, if you vote outside this two-party system, you are ruining it. And that's how it's always worded. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Like you're literally pulling me back down into the very thing that's terrible about the system. So yeah, anyway, guys, I thought I would have some fun with this enshittification. At the very beginning, I put in the link. Let me go to here to let me come over here to Wikipedia, and I'll paste that link in here as well. I think I even put it in the doobly doo. Yeah, it says, thanks to the coalition, the blood war has spilled over into the German layer with the Tanari on the left and Biatsu on the right. Yeah, Baatzu. Anyway, but yeah, it is kind of like that, right? The blood war was created, or so that the lawful evil and the chaotic evils would fight each other. So because they have so many huge numbers that they don't explode out into the other multiverse of conflict and such. So yeah, Zamara says, I tell people to vote third party until they lose with enough numbers to look like a threat. The political system will get ever worse, as well as the political divide in the U.S. Yeah, yeah, and here's and Drew says third party does work since the U.S. works on a winner takes it all basis. Yep, and thus weaken either side by having another party there leads only to the other side winning. And here's another thing too, that maybe I'm not a political rhetoric individual at all, but it's difficult for us to feel that losing helps us win. So an example would be like an example would be um, people more and more voting for a third, fourth, fifth party group. Though they lose, they start gaining so much attention that others start flowing towards them out of gravity, out of attention. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. DBJ fun with enshittification equals Archon spreading kindness and justice throughout the wastelands of the prime material. Well, maybe, yeah. If you just join our side and do what we tell you to do and act right, you know. What homeowners associations are enshittification, or enshittified, right? A homeowners association uh, normally exists so that people who live in a community can live in harmony and raise the values of the financial values, the social values, the protections with by the law in the community to make sure things are done correctly and clean and blah blah blah. And what happens? Homeowners associations, HOAs spiral straight down the toilet because you get individuals who join homeowners associations that are like, this is the way things should be ever, all the time. I'm sticking the flower in your lawn. Your grass is too high. It's touching the bottom of the flower. Kind of bullshit like that, right? And and for our role play, yes, we are talking politics and all that bullshit, right? But okay, Drew says, I'm very politically interested, but I think the US needs a reform of their system. But that is not going to happen since it would only weaken the two major parties. Yes, it would. Um, a major part of an enshittification, you can't leave it. You don't, even if you want to leave it, you look around and nobody else wants to leave. Reforming a complete system requires the people in that system who are possibly benefiting from it, or psychologically they think they will benefit from it even though it's designed so those people won't benefit from it. You got to convince those people, get out. It's um when the United States was settled, there was this major, I even, in the back of my head, I even thought about making a game called uh Mercaborg, which is like America, like America, but just called Merca Borg. Anyway, it would just be a dark, doesn't matter, TTRPG bullshit, right? But the settling of the states when you move across the state system was like oil, gold, coal, lumber, all these kind of things. And what did people do? They scrambled after it. They sacrificed their families and their lives to try to capture this one thing that they think is going to make their life better. Now, you could have tried to convince many of these people, listen, you going after the gold's already gone. There isn't any gold left. By the time you get there, there's no more gold. But to tell somebody that, it's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, we have passed that point, Drew. Yeah, what needs to happen now is a bloody Wednesday. Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, it's so entrenched. The it's the it's the idea of like getting away from an oil based fuel economy. We're so entrenched in it. It's not, remove your mind away from the good or badness of it. The thing is that we are entrenched in it. Remember the cargo ship that got stuck in the Suez Canal and caused all kinds of trade problems here in the States. Why? Because we've entrenched ourselves into a system of, this is how we take goods from overseas and import them all into the US stateside, right? We can see this happening on so many layers. And let me hard point back to tabletop role playing games. There's a reason why um, it, evil grows, because there are individuals who go, no, 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 no. I know they're evil. I'm just going to get mine, and don't worry, I'm gonna get out as soon as it gets worse. And then people get into it, and then more people get into it, and then it gets worse. Yeah. Deadman says in the first 20 elections in the US, there were at least 10 parties for almost every political position. Yep. It wasn't until the late 1800s that it coalesced into two parties. Yes. There were some funky names too, like the Whig Party and Tea Party. No, was that back in the 1800s? No. Or is that brand new? I think the name is brand new. But anyway, yes, and if I'm not mistaken, Deadman, and please correct me if I'm wrong because I probably am. If I remember correctly, the idea was president, the president's vice president would be someone of an opposing party. Like the president wins the election, and the vice president was going to be like the runner-up or the opposing party or top opposing official, so that you would always have that would be another part of a checks and balance, which completely disappeared. Drew says, I would like to see a new revolution in the US, but I doubt it will happen. The people get the bread and games, and many people in our hobby do not want to look at reality either. Yeah. Let me end this on the enshittification of our own tabletop role playing community. let me give you a my thesis, and you guys can argue over it or tell me I'm wrong, which I'm probably am wrong. All right, so the enshittification of our tabletop role playing game. Yeah, enshittification has overcome the prime, ether and astral, and extinguished all radiance in the multiverse. And negative energy is the only hope. Entropy, yeah, that's the only thing. So, in the beginning, and I think it still exists, but follow me down this rabbit hole of nonsensical thought. So, tabletop role playing creators and Dungeons and Dragons itself, as it began, felt like a product that gave us more value than we were giving it. I'm only spending 10, 15, $20 on your product, but I'm getting out of it dozens, hundreds, thousands of hours of entertainment. I'm getting more. Thank you so much. Yeah, Drew says, yeah, today was great. Barely any D&D, but much more about social topics. Yeah. And listen, let's be real. I love talking about social topics, but I'm not a hardliner about a lot of things, or at least I'm an open minder, and I like talking about those things. And uh, so thank you, Drew, for tolerating what I did here. We're going to get into more D&D, or role playing. So enshittification of role playing basically is we get more value out of it than it existed. Great. We love the game. We invite more people into the game. There are developers of games that we're constantly creating. Yeah, thank you so much there. Oh man, thank you very much. Yeah, roll back the tidal wave of shitification, right? So many creators, to be honest with you, and here's something that the business side of tabletop role playing hasn't figured this out yet. We have a lot of creators that are giving more than they're receiving back. We are getting more value out of some of our independent creators than they are giving back. Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for that one. So what does that mean? That means that there's even creators out there that are putting out Kickstarters, they have websites, they've got blogs. They are part of the tabletop role-playing community. And there are people who are supporting them even though they don't buy any of their materials. Why? Because some people feel like, you know what, this book that they made, or this website, or this VTT or something, I'm not going to use it. But as a consumer, I want to support them because I feel like they're probably going to make something I will use. So we have people who are making things that are more valuable to us than we feel we are value to them. All we're giving them is money, but they're giving us creativity and expression and all kinds of great environments and stuff like that, right? So then here's what happens. There's a lot of money that's been rolling into Wizards of the Coast, Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons, right? As the biggest ones. What happens? The user side, we're locked in. Fuck. The first game that people think of, Dungeons and Dragons, it's no matter what we think of it as long-termers, Every outsider thinks of Dungeons and Dragons first, and then other role-playing games always come a far second. The biggest games come a far second. Pathfinder, Level Up 5e is almost non-existent. Sorry about that. I was part of the writing. People don't even mention it. Tales of the Valiant is still being called Black Flag. Cipher System is out there as a abused stepchild or something, like, right? They're all secondary level. I mean, hell, even Call of Cthulhu, this version 7 or something like that, it's still in its own little niche. Okay. Then we go to the business side, and the business side goes, man, we can monetize the shit out of this stuff. We can monetize it. We can sell products. We can sell books and all that kind of stuff. Great. You're going to make a bunch of books. And what happened over time? TSR started to silo people by making too many books, too many settings, and people begin to fall into silos and not buy the other stuff. They actually enshittified their own company. We keep moving on with like Magic the Gathering. What happened to Magic the Gathering, right? Magic the Gathering started to enshittify its own self with tournament rules and needing to make cards that are bigger and better than the last ones, and ruin their own value by trying to manipulate the rarity and actual monetary value of the cards and all that kind of stuff. So then you get two groups: user group that can't leave, the business group that wants the money, and then you have the screw being turned in the middle and going, yeah, we're going to put out Spelljammer that doesn't have shit in it. It's going to look good. It's going to have a lot of cardboard around it, but it's not going to be any good. I just purchased the Planescape book. I wanted to get it because I feel like it's the last time I'll ever see it again. And even I got it, and it's a good 7, 6.5 to 7. I mean, there's got some stuff in it. Could it have gone deeper? Sure. But it's like, well, we don't want to put out problematic materials and things like that. And everybody's sensitive about offending somebody else. So you've got that enshittification part of it as well. And the maturity. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Right. See, Drew? Yep. Yeah. Don't speak bad about Magic the Gathering. Otherwise, WotC, Wizards of the Coast has to send Pinkertons after you. Pinkertons, really? The decision to do, there weren't other decisions you could have made, and that's the enshittification of it, right? It's the we're going to take this and then twist it so deep that you're just going to ruin your own value. And what did the WotC do? They actually destroyed their own the perceived value of their own product. Crazy. Secretary of Education. Oh man, thank you. Yeah, you don't want to do that because, man, once I get my hands on those billions of dollars from the funds, when we start making our own nation floating out in the open seas on rafts, yeah, I'll just be corrupted. You don't want to do that. Not only will I know I'll be corrupt, um, I will also probably misspend all of the money because I'll just be like, what's the duck, McScrooge or whatever his name is, and just swim through the money, or what's the other kid? um, oh, Casper and shit. Oh man, I can't remember the cartoon. Richie Rich. That's it, Richie Rich. Yeah, that'll just be me. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, no, somebody's gonna assassinate me before the next 12 years. I'm swimming in it. Yeah. Yeah. You're the devil, you know. Scrooge McDuck. Thank you there, dead man. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're the devil we know. Exactly. Like I always wondered, I wonder, the back of my mind, I've always wondered, like, could someone get into politics by being uh so honest that people get annoyed at the honesty and they're like, could you just lie a little bit more? He's like, I call Minister of Finance though. Good brother. Hell yeah, yeah. Just bump elbows, hells yeah. Oh, we gonna take all this. I mean, we'll get overthrown, but for quite a number of years, maybe double digits, we're going to have ourselves some fun. What's going to happen is one of us is going to have a closet full of shoes and it's just going to fall apart. Yeah. Shice hopes that Battlestar Galactica becomes a reality. Damn. And suddenly the Secretary of Education moves up in line because president. Yeah. I love the beginning. The first couple of years of that show, brilliant. Oh my goodness. Don't remind me. Yeah. Well, what's the other show? Designated Survivor. Designated Survivor, same thing. Secretary of was it Secretary of Education? Or maybe housing or something? And that moved up when the Capitol got bombed. Yeah. Yes, I am already making my escape plan to Thailand. Cool, sweet. I'm sure there's a bunch of countries that have non-extradition laws. We'll just set up a place there. Yeah. Make our own. We'll it'll be half political, half cultish. Oh man, we're gonna have to buy a whole bunch of Birkenstocks to hand out to our followers. But whatever. It'll be fine. They'll give up everything. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tolerating this. I wanted to have something darkly lighthearted for the group, and also in a weird backwards way, it feels like the enshittification of a thing is a great template for like why does evil grow in our fantasy realms? Because at a certain point, yes, no Smex cults. Oh, we got to have all the Smex, the juicy, nasty Smex. Yes. Oh shit! Yeah, that's all. That's so funny. You guys are so funny. Anyway, thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate it. Your value is very expensive. Your time is very valuable. I'm glad you could spend it here. I hope our discussions give you the opportunity to make plenty of change. So, guys, have a great one. I'll see you tomorrow. We're going to talk about the Planescape. We're going to continue on the Abyss and go down to some of the layers and be a little bit more mechanical with it. But I thought I would just have some fun with it. And the article came up from a podcast I was listening to. So you guys know sometimes something will spark in my head and I go, oh, shit, yeah, this seems kind of funny. So I just want to do that. Yeah, yeah. It's hilarious. Yep, that's it. Packing my family to Germany. Jude Fuzz will house me. He's like, wait. She's like, wait, what? Hey, Drew, answer the door. There's somebody knocking right now. Wait, what? That would be hilarious. Guys, have a great one. I'll see you later. Peace.